So we've all created this perfect picture of what peace means to us. But despite of these different pictures that Om Shanti. Yeah. Mm. A warm welcome to everyone to the Brahma Kumari Center, Calgary. I hope you are all having a great day. Today we will be discussing one of the very important virtues. But before we start the discussion, I just want to let you all know that we will be communicating through the live chat. And if you're not able to access the live chat, please log in into your Gmail account. And if you're having other difficulties, mention that in the chat and one of us will be able to assist you. So for the next few months, we will be focusing on self-care, improving qualities of everyday life. So last week, we discussed the true meaning of happiness. We discussed how we're looking for happiness in worldly things. However, in all this, we forget that happiness is within us. We are responsible for creating that happiness. As they say, happiness is not something ready-made. It's something that we create. However, to experience that happiness, we must be at peace. Our mind must be at peace. So, today's virtue of discussion is peace. Before we start the discussion, I just want to ask this question. What does peace mean to you? Or, if I rephrase it, what do we do in our day-to-day lives to attain that peace? Some people might say that they find peace when they're out in the nature, when they're exploring nature, going hiking. Or some people might say that they find peace when they're going to worship places. Or some even might find peace at home when they're with their loved ones, when they're just sharing about their day-to-day lives. So we've all painted this perfect picture of what peace means to us. And it differs depending on every individual. But I want to ask, how long does that peace stay for? Not very long, because we're depending on others. This reminds me of a story. So there once was a king who was looking for a painter who would paint him the perfect picture of peace. So all the painters in his kingdom tried and they presented their paintings. But the king really only liked 2 of them. But now he only had to select one of them. So the first painting was of this beautiful, still, perfect, calm lake that was surrounded with all these green trees and with all the mountains, with blue sky above with white fluffy clouds, with sun rays hitting every single leaf and making the mountains glow. And whoever looked at this painting thought it was the perfect representation of peace. And now there was a second painting that also had mountains. However, these were bare. There was angry sky above with thunder and lightning. And this did not look peaceful at all. However, when the king looked closely, behind a bush, he saw a mother bird who had built a nest, and that bird looked like she was at perfect peace. So King chose that painting. So this story tells us that peace isn't something that randomly comes to us. And it doesn't always look like what we want it to look like. And most importantly, it's not dependent on the circumstances. So this brings me to the first topic of our discussion, which is how do we live at peace with people and situations when they're not like what we want them to be. So every day we cross paths with so many people. These include people we live with, these include people we work with, or even people we take transit with. And their values, their attitudes, or even their nature are never like ours. And even if you think about your best friend, maybe, even their values are never like us, their habits are never like us. It's because we've all had completely different life experiences, which change the way we react to circumstances, which change the way we deal with circumstances. So, how do we live around these people now? There are 3 ways we live around people who are not the way we want them to be. First one is by adjusting. And when I say adjusting, I don't just mean outwardly adjusting to situations or people. It means we're adjusting to their living values. We are adjusting to their habits. We're adjusting to their norms. And we're adjusting to their style of living. And in this, we're not criticizing or judging them for their actions. We're adjusting to them while being at peace, while being stable inside. Second way to live with these people is we say, no, I can't live with the person, so you move on. And you don't try to adjust, you just move on with your life. Third way is that we keep on living, we keep on working around them, but we're always unstable inside. We're always criticizing them, we're always judging them for who they are. So, out of all these, which option do we choose nowadays? Mostly individuals nowadays choose to move away. They don't try to adjust, but they just move away from the situations or individuals if they're not their way. But even though it might seem like an easier option, we don't realize that in all this, we're depleting our energy to adjust. So for example, we've all been in this time period when we all didn't have phones. So we had to memorize at least 20 phone numbers by heart. And nowadays, we even struggle to say that one number, or sometimes we don't even remember our own number. So it's because we've stopped using our mind power is we don't have it anymore. So similarly, as we stop using our power to adjust, we start to lose it. And if we don't adjust to situations or individuals around us, we're always turbulent and unstable in our mind. And this shows that we're trying to look for perfect individuals or situations to make us feel at peace without without making an effort to adjust. However, like that king, we need to find peace in every situation. He saw that mother bird. He knew that she was at perfect peace despite of all the chaos that was going around her. So similarly, we need to stop waiting for perfect situations or perfect individuals to make us feel at peace inside. This reminds me, when I was growing up, I would always ask my mom how her childhood was. So, one thing that really stood out to me was she said 6 people in her family lived in only one single room. Not only that, they all lived very peacefully, despite of not having any space or not even having any private space, as people say nowadays that they need their personal space around them. They didn't have any of that, but still, how come they all lived with so much peace? Not that they had all the same habits, no. That's because they were able to adjust. And this adjustment made them emotionally very strong. And nowadays, people struggle to live with even one person. There is so many fights that we see. And we witnessed this during pandemic ourselves, when this whole world was under a lockdown and we were supposed to stay at home. We found it so hard to live at peace with everyone, people we loved, with our siblings, with our parents. It's because we don't have that power to adjust. And more importantly, it was so hard for us to adjust with ourselves. We found it so hard to even talk to ourselves because over the years, we've been only working outside. We've been working out in the world. And with this, we've forgotten how to talk to ourselves, how to find that inner peace. So, next topic of my discussion is, what is inner peace? So, inner peace means having that stillness, having that calmness in you where you're able to control your thoughts, where you're able to control your mind. But in our day-to-day lives, we come across situations, we come across individuals that might disrupt that peace. So I want to give you guys a moment to think about 5 things or individuals that might disrupt your peace, or that you think disrupt the peace of your mind. Okay, so I hope you guys have that list. Now that you look at your list, I'm sure it was very easy for you to come up with 5 individuals or situations that disrupt that peace of your mind. And some of you might even have exceeded that 5 limit. But can we pay a very close attention to the list and see all the things or individuals we've listed is only us blaming them for our peace of mind? We're always blaming individuals because they're not the way we want them to be. However, in all this, we need to realize none of those individuals or situations are responsible for our peace. They cannot control the peace of our mind. For example, if you're having a really good day, like the best day of your life, and then all of a sudden, someone hits your car from the back, how would you feel? You would feel bad, but it won't disrupt you to a point, But if you're having the worst day of your life and then someone hits you from the back, how would you feel then? So in this, the situation is the same. You individuals are the same. However, your reaction is dependent on the state of your mind. It has nothing to do with the situation. So, similarly, how come we can let the situations control our mind when it's always been us? Because our mind is what makes us react. Our state of mind is what makes us react to the situations outside our control. So, what is the thing that our state of mind is dependent on? It's our thoughts. It's our thought that control how we feel and in turn how we react. So every day, according to the recent research, it shows that we get around 36,000 to 80,000 thoughts per day. And that makes it around 25 to 55 thoughts per minute. And these thoughts are dependent on the five senses. So that's what we see, what we smell, what we taste, what we hear, and what we touch. So these five senses is what create our thought. And based on these senses, our mind creates 4 different types of thoughts. And these include positive thoughts, negative thoughts, wasteful thoughts, and necessary thoughts. So now what are positive thoughts? Positive thoughts are thoughts that are filled with very hopeful energy. Those are filled with happiness, wishful thinking, peace. So let's say there is you see a man, an elderly man, crossing the road with groceries in his hand. What would your first instinct be? It would be to go help the man. And in this, you're not trying to prove yourself. It's just a selfless act. Your first thought was just to help the man. So that's what it is. It's all wishful thinking, whether it be about others or about yourself. And now, second, there is negative thoughts. Negative thoughts are filled with the energy of jealousy, anger, arrogance. So, for example, if you're in a fight with someone, that fight might only last for a couple of minutes or even for an hour. But how many times do we replay that fight in our head? How many times do we think about it throughout the day? Or how many times do we judge or criticize that individual we had fight with throughout the day? So we are constantly creating negative thoughts about them. And third is wasteful thoughts. Wasteful thoughts are thoughts about worrying about past or the future. So past in the sense that you're thinking about a situation that happened in the past and you're thinking, oh, maybe I should have reacted this way. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. What are they thinking now? So these are all wasteful thoughts about the past. And now future, you might be worrying about, if I don't do this right now, this might not happen in the future. So with all this, you're constantly worrying without taking any action. So you're worrying without taking any action. So you're not even being you're not being productive. So, and then there's fourth type of thought, which is necessary thoughts. So these are, let's say, these help you function in your daily life. So if you had to go from point A to point B, just planning that in your head, so they're necessary thoughts. They help you function in everyday life. So out of all these, how would you feel when you have positive thoughts? You would feel light, you'd feel stress-free, just relaxed, and very happy and very peaceful. But how would you feel if you're having a negative thought? You'll feel very burdened. You'll feel agitated, irritated, mad. Out of all these thoughts, though, we only spend like a few minutes thinking about positive thoughts in our day. So, which one of these thoughts do you spend most of your day thinking about? Or which of these thoughts take most of your mind energy? Yeah. So it's your wasteful thoughts. It's all wasteful thoughts that drain your mind. And because the impact that wasteful thoughts have is not very evident as compared to negative thoughts, is why we ignore them. So let's say there is a small leakage in the tank. There's water dripping constantly. But you won't notice the difference until the tank is empty. Because the depletion wasn't very evident when it was happening. So similarly, we're not paying attention to all the wasteful thoughts we're getting. Nowadays, we're filled with so much useless and unimportant information. For example, now that I am talking to you guys, your mind is not just taking in what I'm saying, but it's also creating thoughts about what I'm speaking, how I'm speaking, even the way I'm dressed, or even wondering if what I'm saying is true. But that's only if you're here with me in this present moment. What if when I started talking about numbers, your mind drifted off to thinking about a plan that you have coming, or any other situation that might be going on in your life? So, like this, our mind is jumping from one situation to the other, from one thought to the other, or even one place to the other. Like right now, you might be here, but in the next moment, you might be in US, thinking about something there. So, what happens when we let our mind run constantly? When we let it react to outer or inner stimuli nonstop? It depletes our energy. We don't realize it when we're doing it, but at the end of the day, you just feel so depleted. You feel so drained. Some people can't sleep because of this, because they're constantly having wasteful thoughts. And and sometimes it disrupts our daily activities. And we feel way more tired than usual because of that. So, how do we stop these thoughts and make ourselves feel at peace? In today's time period, we are more inclined to look for pleasurable activities. So that could be just overeating, or sometimes we even oversleep just to control our mind to feel that calm, or some even overindulge intoxication. But while we believe that this is helping us feel calm, we don't realize that we are only depleting our energy. We're becoming dependent because this doesn't last for more than a couple of hours. So, why doesn't it stay forever? It's because we're choosing a different way of living. We're looking for something as unlimited as peace in such a limited entity. And we're living in such an automatic mode where we have no sense of personal responsibility and playing a blame game. We're aware of what we are doing outwardly, so we are aware what we're speaking, but we are unawareingly collecting this energy of criticism and doubt. And this reminds me of a little story. So, a man goes to a scholar and he's like, I have something to tell you that I heard from my friend. Before he could go ahead with this story, scholar's like, wait up. I have 3 questions that I want to ask you before you start your story. And then his first question was, are you going to tell me something true? And then the second question was, are you going to tell me something positive? And the third question that the scholar asks is what you're going to tell me useful? So when scholar tested the information that he was consuming through three-way testing, he prevented collecting any unnecessary information. So similarly, we need to try to test all the information we're collecting. For example, when we're walking down the road, we see so many posters, we see so many advertisements listed. When we look at one poster, it creates a thought in us, right? And one thought is followed by the next, and that by other. So we create so many series of thoughts about something that's so unimportant. So with this, we need to check twice of what kind of information we're consuming, and if that information we're consuming is even important. And because all this information controls our mind at the end of the day, which controls the thoughts we are getting, and in turn those thoughts control the way we feel. So if we're consuming all the positive information, thoughts we're going to get are all going to be positive. And in turn, how are we going to feel? Peaceful and happy. Versus if we're consuming all the negative thoughts or negative information, the thoughts we're going to get are negative and we're going to feel low just as a consequence of that. As they say, mind is everything. What you think, you become. So we have to take this personal responsibility of what kind of information we're consuming. So to experience that inner peace, it is important for us to understand that it's all happening within us. Only if we understand that it's all happening within is when we'll stop relying on other individuals or situations. And we will realize we don't need anything else for that peace. Like that mother bird in that story, she was at peace with herself. Despite of all the chaos around her, she was still at peace. So as Buddha says, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. So how do we start implementing these changes in our daily lives? One is to make sure we are only collecting positive information, starting our days with positive information, and ending our days with positive information. Second is we are aware of what we are thinking. So making sure, checking our thoughts constantly. If we are getting positive thoughts, if we're getting negative thoughts, if we're getting wasteful thoughts. Because when we're paying attention to what we're thinking is when we'll be able to change it. Because how easy would it be for us to say, because of what he did, I felt this way? But how challenging is it for us to say, despite of what he did, I'm only going to create positive thoughts? Or how easy is it to say, he's jealous, so he's bad? But how uplifting is it for us to say that he's jealous because he's in pain? So my responsibility is to only provide him with positive and only positive energy. But this process of changing our thoughts requires a lot of patience, because over years we've only been collecting negative thoughts and we can't change that within one day. So just to start off with this, we need to start sitting with ourselves. We need to make it a habit to talk to ourselves. Because every day we go around, meet people, our first question is always, how are you? Or how was your day? Why don't we ask that question to ourselves? We never ask ourselves how our day was. We never ask ourselves how we're feeling today. Suppose a child comes home from school and he he's not feeling at its best. He's feeling very drained. So the mother would she ignore him? No. She wouldn't even care about any of her other work that might be pending or even about what she was busy doing. Her one and only priority would only be her child. She would ask him series of questions of what happened, how it happened, what can we do differently. So all these questions until her child feels at peace. Similarly, we need to start asking ourselves questions. If we need to check if we're getting any negative thoughts, we need to see if we can replace those with positive thoughts. And if we see ourselves getting in that cycle of negative thoughts, to stop it and replace it. So having that control over our thoughts will help us achieve that peace of mind, will help us feel at calm in the world that is filled with chaos. And to remember again, making sure we know what kind of thoughts we're getting, always paying attention to every single thought, whether it be positive, negative, wasteful, or necessary, and slowly changing them over time, slowly replacing one thought at a time, or not even changing the direction of the thought would help you achieve that peace. Now, third way to experience that inner peace would be to stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop relying on stuff outside to make us feel at peace. We need to find that single moment of peace in every situation, just like that king. In that painting, he only saw that mother bird who was at peace despite of what was going on in the painting. So similarly, we need to find peace in every situation, in every individual. And fourthly, we need to take up positive affirmations, knowing that I am peace, knowing that every thought I create is peaceful. Om Shanti. And now I have this little commentary, this little exercise we're going to go through just to make ourselves feel at peace. Okay? So settle in your position and close your eyes. Bring your attention to your inhales and your exhales. Breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. Bring your focus to the pathway of your breath. As you do this, hold your attention on each and every breath for as long as you can. If a thought comes, acknowledge it, but set it aside and move your attention back to breathing. Continue with the pattern of deep breathing and imagine yourself getting relaxed with every breath that you take. I'm now going to do a countdown from 5. And with each countdown, you will feel more relaxed and peaceful. You can imagine yourself getting lighter, leaving every fear behind. I'm now going to begin the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. You're now completely relaxed. As you remain relaxed in this state, imagine a light radiating from the center of your forehead. This light provides you with warmth, joy, and peacefulness. Now imagine the light gradually growing in size. Imagine its warmth and its glow spreading to every single cell of your body. It's healing every cell and providing it with peace and joy. Once you are surrounded in the glow of this light, you should feel relaxed in the most peaceful state of mind. This light is providing you with peace, purity, power, and positivity. Now that the light has provided you with all the peace and relaxation, say thank you to the light. Have a moment of gratitude. Now feel yourself retaining all the peace and relaxation. Now once again, draw your attention back to your breathing, your inhales and your exhales. Om Shanti. If you guys are looking for a Raj Yoga course, please approach one of the representatives at the Calgary Center, and you'll be able to find that information online. Also, as part of this whole discussion that we went through, always remember to have that self-care time. Like this speech this commentary that we went through right now, have something like that for yourself so you're able to sit at peace, even for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes every day. So slowly like this, you'll be able to change your thoughts. You'll be able to find those peaceful thoughts coming more easily to you. It might be hard at first to just get those peaceful thoughts, but slowly changing the direction of your negative thoughts or your wasteful thoughts will help you get those peaceful thoughts easier over time. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you all have a good evening.